Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. Don't forget about our live post-game show tonight after Game 2 of the Spurs versus the Blazers. It'll be a great game, great analysis, and we'll answer your questions live on the air. Now let's talk about Roy Hibbert and his struggles and how he did well last night in a shocking way, which saved the Pacers' season. Seth Partnow at Where Offense Happens has an interesting take on why he's been struggling for so long, so check that link out. But I went through here and showed you some things from Game 6 of Atlanta, the series, and then last night to show you that he's doing some things last night with sprinting the floor. That's a real big deal. However, people on Twitter were upset about his traveling non-calls, and I gotta tell you something, sports fans, they were right to complain. Let's go back to the low point in Game 6 versus the Hawks, where he played a measly 12 minutes, going 0 for 1 from the field. At the start of the game, here's a good example of his non-aggressiveness, as he doesn't even try to fight for the rebound on a free throw. And he wasn't able to seize control of the real estate in the post, allowing Antic to force him out and meekly swats at the rebound instead of going after it. And if he's going to have trouble scoring, he'd better get you something on the defensive end, but his hands are down as he lets the much shorter Millsap get the offensive board and another possession. I've noticed a problem he has on his offensive moves. He's not willing to turn over his right shoulder enough. On this good duck-in, he would only need to step closer with his left foot to the hoop and get a left-handed shot in the basket. Instead, he turns back over his preferred left shoulder, going from a 7-foot shot on the catch to a 9-foot step-back jump hook. Coach Vogel decided Hibbert had to guard Millsap instead of Antic, but here's a play where he's neither guarding his man on the perimeter, nor is he protecting the rim, a big reason for his lack of playing time. Let's cut to last night's game, where perhaps Hibbert played well because the lighting was so much better. It appears they want to go to him to start the game, yet they don't help him out by setting a cross screen, and the Polish Hammer looks like he's the one on offense. It takes the shot clock winding down for him to get a shot, and this desperation heave is just what he needed to get him going. After the Pacers rebound the ball, just watch how he sprints down the floor, which directly leads to him getting fantastic low post position. He fakes a second dribble, which leads to him taking 3 steps, but gets away with the kind of travel that is called maybe 50% of the time. The refs really helped him out again by not calling 3 seconds on him, even though he steps into the lane at 7:57 and never officially gets out of the key for 10 long seconds. Again, watch how he sprints down the court, something we haven't seen him do for months. It forces the Washington bigs to switch, and when Lance attacks early, he's there for the easy score. However, he establishes his right foot pivot on the catch, then picks it up before dribbling, which is a pretty egregious no call. With his newfound mojo, he even commanded position down low by pushing Gortat out of the way a little bit. Again, he doesn't take advantage of turning over his right shoulder, granted there was a little guy in the way, but he does come back to his left shoulder and hits a running hook. And you don't get to 28 points without someone playing awful defense on you, and when Webster had to switch onto him, for some reason he decides to just leave him, and this was the easiest field goal Hibbert had all night. And this bucket was huge in helping Indiana get back control of the game late. But again, watch how he establishes his right foot as a pivot, then picks it up before dribbling it. Then he gets 3 steps, even if you give him a generous gather step. Perhaps the refs were caught up in his great game, but this was pretty hard to fathom. So there you have it, sports fans. There's some really interesting footwork going on there, and the NBA has been a lot better recently in the last several seasons in calling that. So I'm not so sure he gets those calls on the road, and if he can't do that kind of production, then I don't know if the Pacers have a chance of winning the series. I think the Wizards are terrific and are going to only get better. And in fact, a year or two from now, they're going to be the class of the Eastern Conference if they keep this team together. You heard it here first, folks. Not the Heat, it's going to be the Wizards. So, check out our post-game show tonight after Game 2 of the Spurs versus the Trailblazers. It'll be a great one. And don't forget, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?